Women. A woman will seek out a knight. Even if she thinks she's the most independent woman in the world, it doesn't matter. The subconscious is looking for this knight. This knight in shining armour. And she might get him. But a knight is like a sailor. He has to have adventures. And she's only one of his many adventures. Where she thinks she has the perfect man. The love of her life. And even though he does love her and he does protect her, he's a knight. He's a knight with a horse. And one day he'll get on that horse and he'll be gone. And she'll be devastated. And those stories tell women about don't become overly attached to heroic or idealistic men. Find a nice stable fella. Because although it's important for a woman to have the knight, it's very important for her to have those relationships that fall apart, that are fantastic, and then he's gone. It's important because it's part of a learning process, and the subconscious in many ways desires this. It desires this experience. But that's what happens with the women. That's what happens with them. And it's to teach them about they must be more dependent upon themselves. Now in fairy tales, which are very similar, and folk tales are very similar to mythology, they're about teaching children about the dangers of the world. So for instance, years ago they had paedophiles. Years ago they had rapists. And all kinds of things like this. But they didn't sit down to their children and say to them, the world is full of paedophiles. Men who have sex with you, or this kind of thing. They told it in the story of allegory. Hansel and Gretel is a classic story of children not trusting adults. In this kind of thing. Little Red Riding Hood is about a girl having her period. And the wolf represents a male who's a predator, like a rapist or a serial sex kind of character. And although the child just hears a story, it was sequestered in the subconscious mind as a warning. And so if their intuition develops from that. So they grow up in life and they encounter somebody, a fella, and she goes, oh, I don't like him. And then he charms her. And she forgets about the initial, I don't like him. Well, that was the Little Red Riding Hood warning inside herself saying, watch this guy, he's a womanizer. Or he's after your money, or he wants to move in with you. And you must not let him flatter you. And this kind of thing. So these tales are deep and powerful and strong. And Graham was saying yesterday about children on the internet. We would do a much better story teaching. Parents should be reading the old-fashioned fairy tales to their children. It's very important, and be there doing it. Or better still, if the parent memorizes it and tells it as a story, it's actually more powerful than he or she looking in a book, because you make an eye contact.